Welcome to Switching Reels.
The podcast video series that you should like and subscribe to.
Do it now if you haven't already. I appreciate that, everybody. We just watched, I think, one of my favorite movies of all time. And every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, wow. This is a very good movie.
So before we get too far into it, I just want to say Inception was the movie that convinced me that I wanted to direct, which was something that I held on to basically until it started being a choice between that and marrying my wife. So like
pretty good movie.
Yeah.
In that case.
Yeah.
So we did watch Inception tonight.
Yeah.
Number 14, I think, right now on the list.
I believe so.
So
I don't know. I checked it way earlier today and then I forgot about it.
It's 14. So again, a fantastic movie in my estimation.
Not to give away what we're going to rate it, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. So on this one, let's go recommendations.
Anyone who is able to pay close attention to a movie, like honestly, that's the biggest thing. You're not going to enjoy this if you half watch it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's you get a lot more enjoyment if we're able to actually sit there. It doesn't take
there's a lot of spectacle to it that you could enjoy theoretically without engaging with it intellectually, but you're not going to enjoy the story or anything
if you're not absolutely there for it, which I completely agree. I don't think it necessarily requires I think Pulp Fiction was at times harder to follow than this one.
I would disagree, but continue.
But and so I don't think it takes actually very much to follow it, because it's just, to me, 3 different time events at most that you have to keep track of. But
for me, it's the rules of the dream stuff. That's what took me the longest to figure out. Figuring out the hardest part was limbo.
Really?
I didn't understand for the longest time.
That's it's good. Wait for a second.
Post spoilers.
So if you want to hear that, skip ahead 8 minutes or something.
Yeah.
We'll do good.
I'm just going to leave it at, I think that this is a difficult movie to follow if you are not paying attention to the dialogue and the way that they lay out all the rules.
Completely agree. No, absolutely agree. So yeah, if you want to watch 2.5 hours of something you have to be thinking about and watching dedicatedly the whole time, it won't disappoint you. It doesn't ever let you down. There's moments for breathing, there should be, but you're always thinking during those moments. You have to catch up in your mind. So even watching it for the 3rd or 4th time, it's a great movie to watch if you're watching it.
Right. Yeah. Does it deserve its place on the list?
I feel like it should be higher.
Okay.
Yeah, not by necessarily much, but I get a lot of enjoyment from this movie, and I think it's really, really well done. And just how it's shot and how that plays into the entire dream aspect of it and everything. I think that 14 is a good spot for it. I wouldn't, if I had to put it lower, I wouldn't put it below top 20. If I could put it higher, I think it would go into the top 10.
Okay.
I think it was better than 12 Angry Men.
Okay. You keep going back to 12 Angry Men.
I feel it's the weakest one in the top for me. It's not better than Godfather. It's not better than Godfather Part 2, I begrudgingly say. It's not better than Batman.
But you've said that 12 Angry Men was better than Godfather Part 2.
Sometimes past me says things that are filled with emotion.
Okay.
And less logic. How about you? Does it deserve its place on the list?
So it absolutely deserves to be on the top 250 list. That I think is not something you're going to find a lot of people disagreeing with.
I agree.
Unless they just really hated the fact that they had to engage with the movie the whole time or found it too confusing, which,
both valid.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That being said, I am so torn. So I mentioned this to you and Micaiah and Andrew before the podcast, but I find my enjoyment of this movie is much higher the longer it's been since I've seen it last.
That makes total sense.
And so I'm torn as to whether I would keep it at 14. I would probably put it a little lower. Not much. Not much. I'd probably put it around 25 or 30, somewhere in there.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think just the amount of exposition just surrounding the way that everything works.
Some of
like
it's very tell, not show.
Right.
But it's hard to show.
And it's not that it's boring, right?
No.
It's not that the way that I had a teacher when I was in film school, script writing teacher, who was like, if there's one thing that Christopher Nolan does really, really well, she said it's making exposition dumps interesting.
Yes, and I absolutely agree. Oh my god.
Yeah. And like, this movie is a good 80% exposition dump. But it's great exposition.
It's so good exposition. I wouldn't say 80 because there's a lot of action.
There's a lot of action.
I'll give you like 60.
80% of dialogue.
Okay, there you go. Absolutely. Anytime you're talking, I completely agree with you. You're expositioning.
Yeah.
I will absolutely agree with that.
But like, I don't know. So going back to it when I've watched it somewhat recently, I'm like, I know all of this before. Like I've known this. Yeah, I've
heard the rules.
Yeah.
I played this board game recently.
Yeah, so I think that's the big stumbling block that this movie has set for itself.
Completely agree.
So
no, that's a very good point. Appreciate that.
So as far as ratings go,
yes.
I feel like your enjoyment has got to be a 9 or higher.
Yeah,
on this one.
It's 9.5 or 10. Like,
okay.
I don't think, and I think that you're actually probably right. I think that if I were to watch this tomorrow, my enjoyment would be a lot less. But it's been at least 10 years since I've seen this, probably.
Oh wow!
I don't think I've seen it since very shortly after it came out.
Yeah.
So
because this came out in 2011. We're in
2010.
2010.
Yeah, that's what IMDb said.
All right, I believe it. But either way, yeah.
12 years since it came out, which is crazy to think
13.
about. Oh, no.
Yeah, we're in the new year.
We're in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yep. When you see this, it'll be almost a month later.
But yeah, so you're right. 13 years since it came out.
Yeah.
And it's held up. I think it's held up really well.
Yeah.
Some of the moments where the CG is a little bit weird, there's a reson for it. Which they kind of future-proofed themselves there, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah. You did your enjoyment,
technical.
But technically.
So technical, I like the whole point of this being about dreams means that you can write off a lot of the technical stuff.
Yeah.
And you get the added benefit of the fact that they do the dream thing so well. So I'd put this one at 9.5 or 10 as well in technical. Like, there's very, and again, maybe I'm just in the euphoria of it, but I love this movie.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with technical because it's easier for me.
Awesome.
So this one, I would have to go to. It's a strong 8 to a light 9.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I was feeling from you.
Some of the CG I think doesn't hold up as well. No, this has to be a 9.
Yeah,
this has to be a full 9, and the reason for that is the practical effects that they did use were flawlessly executed,
so well executed,
and oftentimes, I don't want to go so far as to say groundbreaking because I know a lot of the heritage that it's pulling from, and I'm like, okay, I can see. But it was just an incredible amalgamation of them,
so good.
It like there are some scenes in this that I'm like, doing this without CG is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, absolutely astounding. You did it.
Like the easy one to talk about is the exploding fruit stands and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whew.
There was one point in this film where I was thinking, this is the movie after The Dark Knight, and so the studios were just like, oh, Christopher Nolan's going to make money no matter what he does, so give him all of the money, he'll make it back in droves.
Exactly. Which I think for Inception they were pretty right about. If I remember correctly. Like, that was
Christopher Nolan has never had a film do poorly on return on investment.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I think the worst was Tenet, and even that,
I really like Tenet.
Like,
I need to see that one again too.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. I have a lot more feelings on Tenet.
Awesome.
That would be a whole nother video. So, as far as enjoyment though, so we've got a 9 on technical enjoyment
Tonight. And then you can also comment on like historically.
Tonight, this is strong 8 to a light 9 for me.
Nice, that's awesome.
Pretty
heavy hitter.
Yeah, yeah. But there are scenes that I don't love in it, and I think that detracts from my normal one, because like I appreciate the story with Mal, and I think that it's really well executed, but her presence in all of those scenes is just so creepy, and not creepy in like an unsettling way, and just like just stop doing this kind of way.
I would agree with that.
I think that bothers me enough that it lowers my enjoyment
of it. That makes total sense. Breaks you out of it a little bit.
I think it might just be the crazy ex-girlfriend vibes.
Yeah.
But
makes sense.
That's beside the point. This is where we get into the spoiler warning.
Yeah, and it's like it's been really hard not to do this so far. So please, again, if you like what we're doing, like we said earlier, like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to see you.
Yeah.
So let's go. Let us go. Summary of the movie. All right. Most people have probably seen this. So we'll give an actual good summary at some point. I like doing my funny summary. So if you want to do a real one this time, please do.
I'll do the real one first. A thief that steals secrets out of people's dreams is tasked with a really big job of planting a secret in someone's dreams. And in order to do this, he has to assemble a team and go several dreams within dreams in order to plant this memory strong enough for the mark to come out of it and think it was his idea.
Nice. That's a very good summary. Yeah, no, love it.
And that's how the thief is able to get back home. Because,
exactly.
Powerful people are asking him to do this.
ExxonMobil, but on steroids. So Inception is the story of a thief who... we follow the story of a thief as he tries to buy his way back into redemption after his very sane but also incredibly insane wife frames him for killing her. And how he does that doesn't matter. But he eventually gets back to his kids, and it might be a dream.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful.
So standout scenes and performances.
This whole thing. Okay, so weird tidbit. I noticed so many cool things in this today. I did not sleep well last night, and I had those kinds of dreams and those thoughts because I was staying awake for so long that like keep repeating themselves. Like, I don't know if that happens to you very often, but you'll like, I'll be laying in bed and I will have like just one fixated thought that will continue going, or one like a fixated setting. In this case, it's a puzzle game that I'm playing on my phone right now, but I also have like sayings that go in my brain along with it, and I can like kind of track how many times I've gone through this loop, but I can't do anything about it because I'm still sleepy, but I'm not sleeping.
So you're not thinking new things about this stuff.
It's just the same thing.
Interesting, because at first it sounded like exactly how my brain works when it's normal, and then you said that it was going in a perfect loop, and I'm like, well, that's not
perfect loop. Like, there's small deviations.
That's not the same.
I don't make progress. It's kind of infuriating. But there are like there's things like I often will just have sayings to myself, and those will make it into my thoughts whenever I can't sleep. And so the whole like I have a riddle for you. You're waiting for a train, and also the you're like waiting to be an old man.
Oh, you're an old man waiting to
die alone.
Yeah.
Both of those having recurring
motifs
in this movie, like really just drove home to me today. Like, oh, this is a dream movie. I understand. It's not a good dream either. This is one of those dreams you don't make progress and it's bad. But in a very, very nice way. This one's a very pleasant way of doing that. So anyway, that was one thing I wanted to bring up here. What's his face? Who I love him. Leonardo DiCaprio does a fantastic job. I think he does so well in this movie. I think all of the actors do it really well, except for maybe Mal.
Okay. I think Mal does a great job of what she was supposed to be doing. It's just I don't
like how she was written.
I don't know. I think it's a combination of how she was written and how she was directed.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of the vibe coming off of her.
Makes sense.
I don't think that's a performance issue, right? I don't think she was performing poorly.
Totally.
I think she was supposed to be creepy.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the brand of creepy that you like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. For some others, it might be their brand of creepy.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything explicitly stand out. I love the whole architect figuring out how to architect dreams sequence because it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And really, really cool. I like the idea of creating a elevator of memories. Also really, really cool. So yeah, there's a lot of really good ones in here. I think I'd have a harder time figuring out scenes I don't like.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a long string of really good scenes that pull together in an excellent film. I mean,
Yes.
I feel like there are very specific things, like, I don't know. I guess I like every level of the dreams that doesn't include some sort of Cobb's backstory.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like the city
So cool.
is fantastic. The
So well.
hotel is awesome. And the entire snow base thing is just, it is a grand homage to a scene in on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which I think improves on the James Bond scene that it's pulling from, and it's longer.
It's
like
so
considerably
good.
longer.
Like, it's such a simple scene too. Like, this is something you almost would feel like you'd find in some sort of Call of Duty map, like as some sort of Call of Duty map. Like, this is it's the setting. Like,
you gotta call it something like snow base.
Exactly, because that's what it is. You have
so
like
generic.
2 spots. You have one where enemies are and one where you want to be, and it's you get there, but they do it so well.
Yeah.
And you have an entire scene of just snow fights.
Well, and what I didn't even think about until this watch was Ames is just being James Bond through almost the entire
time.
The entire section
I
there.
love Ames. I think he might be my favorite character. I think he's really, really cool.
He's up there. I love Yusuf just because
so
of how
good.
goofy he is.
Oh, I love Yusuf. He's such a good chemist. Such a good guy. Cute little boy.
But yeah, I mean, standout scene. Anytime you see something and you go, "Oh, that was really cool." I mean, that's a standout scene.
Exactly.
Like, there's just so many of them.
Like,
I think one that gets overlooked a lot is the train going through the streets.
Like, that was so cool. Like,
and I forgot how unexpected it was. I remember seeing it in the theaters, and just being like surprised at the train, which is exactly what you should be. I don't think I had that experience again any of my subsequent watch throughs, with the exception of this one.
Yeah, with this one,
and I was like,
oh yeah,
oh wait, the train.
Oh, it's so good.
And yeah, it looks like it should, like, it looks out of place, like
it should
be out of place, but it doesn't look out of place like, oh, they screwed up.
No, exactly.
Right?
Like the whatever they used for it. Like the balance.
That's a crazy balance to strike.
So well done.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness gracious.
But yeah, the spinning hotel scene, or like the hallway fight.
The hallway fight.
Which
so
if
well
you've
choreographed.
seen the behind the scenes footage, it's awesome.
Because they have like the cool tube thing that they spin, right? Like,
And so in the behind the scenes, they showed their initial footage, which they weren't sure if it would look better having the camera mounted to the tube, or if they wanted to send a crane in. And they discovered that by mounting it to the tube, it just looked weird. It just looked like guys falling in different directions.
Exactly.
But putting that inside, like you could see everything rotating around it, and like, it's just so cool.
So good.
But yeah, like that in particular, like as much as I love it and think that it's incredible, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, right? The one thing that bothers me about it is the reception that it got, which is that everybody thought that this was like the newest, most innovative thing, and I'm like, it's cool, and I'm glad that they did it. But this is coming from a very long lineage of, like, if you look back at the silent films, they did stuff like this. And it was awesome then, too. Except it was just played for comedy.
Instead of
right.
in an action sequence.
Right. We've got some Buster Keaton films on here and some Charlie Chaplin films that I adore, right?
I'm so excited.
And those ones, they had no restraint. Like, it was, if we can build it, we're going to. Especially the Buster Keaton stuff, but that was less his team being really good and more just him being an absolutely brilliant human being. I need to talk to you sometime about Buster Keaton, because that guy's just nuts.
Oh, that sounds so good.
But yeah, so yeah, the standout scenes are all of them.
Yep.
The standout performances are... Okay, so here's the thing. I think all of the actors did a really great job of bringing the characters to life, but I don't think that any of them had such characters written in a way that you can see them shine.
Absolutely,
right?
I would agree with that.
And I don't have a problem with that.
No.
But I think this is where my issue with Leonardo DiCaprio getting the Oscar for The Revenant. I think he absolutely should not have gotten it for The Revenant.
Yeah.
I think he should have gotten it earlier. When we watched Django Unchained, that is the role that I think he should have gotten it for. Now, he lost to Christoph Waltz in the same movie. And I mean fair. But also, like, The Revenant was in sort of the same category of, like, Leo's a great actor and he's going to
act well
every time. But when your character doesn't have a ton of emotions to run through in different ways, then I go, I don't...
It's kind of wasted. Like, it's like, that makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not that I think any of the actors are wasting their time by being in these films. It's just, I think, like, you could enlist an actor that maybe is not in the same caliber, and you wouldn't lose that much.
Exactly. It's like it's a diminishing return on getting this good of an actor on this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Where it's focused mostly on the world building and the suspense and the tension, and less necessarily on the characters.
Right. Yeah.
I completely agree.
I think, actually, if I'm going to go with one character that did show some really great emotion, it's Mal at the end. I think the scene where she's she's crying and
it's so sad.
Yeah, I think the actress just absolutely nailed that.
The whole exchange between Cobb and Mal at the end, where he's like, "Hey, I'm really happy with you. Like, you are the best that I could do, and it's not enough. Like, I can't." It's such a it almost brings you to tears just like thinking about it. Like,
that's something I didn't get until I watched this movie as a husband.
As a husband,
yeah. It's completely different.
Oh my gosh! Like the emotional impact there now instead of when I was 15.
Right.
Like I resonate. I understand. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't dream up my wife,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and have it be good.
And well, and the other thing is like the idea of um even knowing your wife as she is, like your perception of her is even not enough.
Yeah,
And that's just
exactly.
and
Exactly.
I
You
don't
can't dream it. You
yeah, I don't
can't
know
simulate
how to
that.
explain
Yeah.
that in any other way than the way that it was explained there. And it's
Yes.
just yeah, it was very, very potent
Absolutely.
as someone who is now married, right?
Yes. And yeah, that was a really, really, like, this time I was like, oh my gosh, that got me really close to
Yeah.
tears. Oh my goodness gracious. And so that was really, really nice and refreshing as
Yeah.
well. Like, it was another piece of emotion that I was not expecting to obtain from this movie.
Yeah. The older I get, the more I am kind of ambivalent towards Cillian Murphy's character in this movie.
Who's Cillian Murphy?
Or I guess Cillian Murphy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Either way, he is I'm forgetting his last name. Fisher.
Well, I just said I really liked.
No.
No, wait, which one's Fisher?
Fisher is the guy who they're
Got you.
inceptioning.
Okay, thank you. I was actually just
Yeah.
about to say I actually really liked his performance in this one.
Okay.
Watching him, like, I thought that he did a really good job of, like, portraying someone who just lost a family member and also has a really lot of decisions to make and therefore can't handle this dream.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like,
I guess my thought with it is like I was comparing the scene with Mal and the scene with him and his dad, and I'm like, I watched it and went, I'm not really feeling any emotion here.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
And it's not that it has to rely entirely on the actors, because there is a lot that goes into editing and music, and maybe the music just wasn't right for that scene. But I don't know. And one way or another, I think that scene affected me a lot less.
Yeah, than the Mal one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. For some reason this time when he opened the vault in that room, I was like, oh, that's really nice and sweet. And
Yeah.
it was a feeling of like, oh, this is just another resolution.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't as big as the other one, but it's something we needed to do
Yeah.
to go and carry through everything. I thought it was really, really cool.
I think we've beaten this horse to death.
I don't know, man. I could probably have an Inception amount of just happy vibes about Inception. So good. One other thing I did really like, the trope cliche of your brain only uses X amount of its power. I really like it doesn't necessarily make you any smarter to use the most of it. It just makes time go faster.
Yeah.
I like this interpretation of the using your brain to its full extent a lot better than a lot of the other ones that are out there.
It still bothers me because the thing is, we don't know what all of the brain does.
Yeah, not at all. We have no
we
clue.
know that it's all used.
Exactly. At some point, it is all used.
We just don't know what it's used for all the time.
Entirely.
So yeah, that quote always just bothers me. No matter what movie it's in. I could have a movie that I just think is the greatest movie ever made, and I would go, why'd you say that?
Put that there? I can totally see that. I also agree from the more science perspective. Don't care for it.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose the best way of doing it, this would be it. Like,
this is why there is certain amounts of science that I go, I could learn that. I'm going to let myself stay blissfully ignorant.
Exactly.
And then I will approach experts later with my manuscript and say, hey, read this.
Can you take this
back,
please?
You tell me that's wrong? I don't care. It's my story.
It's a whole, like, it's very similar to the when you recall, like, a vehicle, like, oh, how much is this going to cost?
Yeah, it's the Fight Club thing.
It's the Fight Club thing. And no, it's just for books. Like, okay, how long is it? Not that? Okay, cool. Then it's staying. We're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Though, okay, so standout lines. You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Oh,
such a good one. I love that.
I mean, if there's anything that Ames' character had that was just
the charisma.
Yeah, it's the cocky but also just hyper competent character.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really loved him this time around. Like, I've always enjoyed his character, but this time, like, watching how much he loved to just
Rid
completely,
on
yeah,
Austin?
Arthur.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Was
He just
fantastic.
was tormenting Arthur, and it was great. And I've always liked Arthur as well, but like that was just wonderful.
Like, yeah, it was really, really good. I loved the team he put together.
Yeah. Which segues us into themes
Yeah, it does.
fairly well, actually. So this movie has a lot of times been connected to the filmmaking process.
Ooh.
So the idea of putting together a team of, your different characters, Cobb being your director, Arthur being your producer, you've got Ames as your actor, and you've got, I would say Yusuf is like your cinematographer or
Totally.
sound guy.
Makes sense.
And then you've got Ariadne as like your set designer.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting that all of those characters fall into those roles so well.
Yeah.
And it was brought up to Christopher Nolan after he made it. He's like, I absolutely did not try to do that. But like, yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Because it's what I know, right?
Exactly.
Like that's what I make films for a living. So when I think of, putting together a team, I think of
these guys.
Yeah, putting together a filmmaking crew. Like,
exactly.
it's kind of the same idea.
And in this case, I also would completely agree, because what they're doing is putting on performance.
Right, yeah.
Like, for all of these, it's a con.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a multi-layered con, and you need to be able to control every part of that. Like, you're creating something for a person to live in.
Yeah.
Like you're doing with a movie. Like,
right,
that makes total sense. That's so cool.
And to further connect it to movies, the more overt connection there is that movies and dreams follow a very similar format.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
With the idea of cutting and that kind of thing. Ooh, to go to the important scenes and that kind of thing.
Yeah, your mind doesn't care about the boring
no matter what movie you're watching, there is not no matter what movie you're watching. That's Cleo true. 5 to 7 you're going to see every time a character is walking like to one place and from one place into another, because it's just how the movie works. But like in a lot of movies, the majority of movies, we just end up places and we have to figure out where we are.
Exactly.
Right? So the whole test of how did you get here? Right? We don't think about that when we watch movies, but it absolutely is. Yeah.
For movies as well.
Right.
Are you in a movie right now?
Right.
How did you get here?
Yeah.
I love that. That's so good.
But yeah, I love all of the little connections it has to filmmaking on the whole.
Yeah.
I think it's a great film that is unintentionally just about filmmaking. Yeah.
Oh, it's really, really, really well done. I do now. So there's the whole Cobb has the top, and there's a point where every time he tries to start spinning it, something happens. Up to a certain point, like at the beginning, you see him spin the top after he gets the archetype. I can't remember what her name is. Ariadne. To like go into the dream with him. He spins the top. That's the last time you see it spin for full until the end.
You see it when he puts it in the safe.
True. Thank you. Okay, so he's in a dream at that point, so that makes sense. You don't see it complete a rotation or complete the full, like, I'm going to topple over until never.
Yeah, that's true.
So I love that.
Because like when he comes in from the dream when Yusuf puts him under, he just he tries to spin it and just kind of
Yep. And then the boss man comes in at another point whenever he's trying to spin it after another one of the dreams. and he has to stop it for some reason.
Okay. I don't remember that, but that's
I think it could be conflicting
because the boss man comes in right after the Yusuf puts him under
incident.
thing.
So I think that was really cool. I liked the feeling of Cobb is defining what reality he does want to live in,
Mm-hmm.
like the entire time. Like at the end, the reality that he lives in doesn't matter anymore because he has what he wants.
Yeah.
Like that's such an interesting.
Well, I like that interpretation. I think it wasn't just about what he wants, and I think that was really important to my watch through on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Was it wasn't a selfish desire. It was the fact that he actually believed it.
Yes.
Right? Because you even see when he
that.
talks to Mal toward the end, she talks to him about how he's been questioning. You know, he always has this creeping suspicion.
And he has these random anonymous organizations after him all the time.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And so this last one, when he spins the top and he's going to see if it's real, he's like, no, I know it's real, and he walks away.
Nice. That's a nice interpretation.
So
as well.
I don't necessarily know which one is correct.
Absolutely.
But I do know that, like, as much as we the audience usually, like, on the whole, I remember when this came out and everybody was arguing about whether he was in the dream or not.
So fun.
And
I loved those debates.
I didn't, because it was always the same debate.
Yes, but that's fine.
The debate was, well, no. It's not fine. It's not okay. Because the debate was always, it was going to topple over. No, it just wobbled a little bit. And it's like, I don't care about the top.
Debate. Yeah, exactly.
I don't care about the top.
Yes, completely agree. The idea of coming back to it's still a choice mantra that we've come to a few times with a lot of these really good movies, and how it being your choice defines how your action, like what your action means, like, and the fact that you can make that choice, that defines it for you. He made the choice to believe. Mal made the choice that this was, well, I guess in that case you can actually kind of make the argument she didn't. She didn't, yeah. The choice features a lot in this one, and the manipulation of choice, which is so interesting.
This is the first time when I really picked up, like, the reason that he put the thoughts into Mal's head, and I'm like, oh, I don't hate him.
Yes. And as a kid though, I was like, wait, the entire time that Mal put it into his head, that Cobb put the thought into Mal's head. Like that's why she's dead. We know this. That's why he knows Inception works. That's what my brain thought the very first time I saw it. Yeah. It's like, oh, he knows Inception works. She's dead. He probably killed her. Yeah. Accidentally. Hopefully.
Well, this is the first time I realized it was an accident.
Yeah. He wanted her out. He understood that they were in a dream.
Like all the other times I had seen it, I kind of... Okay, so full disclosure. Mm-hmm. This movie is great, and I love it. I've fallen asleep in it a lot.
Makes sense.
Like, several times.
As we were saying, like, there's a lot of just monologues that you need to follow to know what's happening.
But what I had never picked up, because I was probably too groggy most of the times that I saw it, was that he loved his wife, which is why he planted this idea, not thinking that it would grow when she was awake.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he had done it on accident changes a lot of the way that you have to view him.
Yeah.
Because, like,
I agree on this one. Like, it hadn't really hit my head very strongly that this was an accident. Like, he wanted to go back to a life where that was real, that he knew was real.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. And then it grew.
Yeah. And that's why he's so concerned about it. Like, everything clicks into place so much better when you actually pay attention.
Isn't that crazy?
And actually, this is the first time watching through that I've realized how easy this plot is to follow if you catch every line of dialogue.
If you catch every line of dialogue.
If you miss 2 or 3, it's all over.
Yeah, you're kind of missing at that, especially if it's like 2 or 3 critical ones. Like there's
Yeah.
a couple throwaway pieces, but
Yeah.
it's they're rare.
What I was going to talk about toward the beginning and why the rules were so confusing.
Please. World building.
I did not understand limbo. Like, I understood getting there, but getting back made no sense to me.
Yeah, and I'm actually not still entirely sure how to get back either, necessarily.
So I know how...
The first 2 get back.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So the kick is one way to get out of limbo.
Yep.
The other way is to die.
Yes.
Which only works if
If
you're already dead in the other dreams.
Oh. And it goes back to the one that you're not dead in. Because...
Well, you'd wake up, right? So, like, when Cobb and Saito at the end are in the big boardroom palace thing, and Saito kills Cobb and kills himself.
Yep.
Off screen.
Off screen, not on screen.
Which always helps with
that.
things like this.
Exactly. Hey, soft magic systems. Guess what?
But they don't go through the other 3 dreams because they're already dead in the top dream.
They're and they're in limbo. Like they don't belong to any of the other dreams right now.
Right. When Ariadne and Fisher come back, Fisher comes back because he's resuscitated and is falling at the same time. He has the kick, which happens when he lands in limbo.
Yep.
And when he gets resuscitated in
third dream.
In the 3rd dream. Ariadne comes back when she does the same thing, only the building is collapsing and the elevator is shooting up and...
Yeah, but she wasn't dead ever.
She wasn't dead, but she was in limbo.
Yeah, for sure, but she never... I don't remember if you thought that if you said that the fact that you were dead had to do anything with it.
So yes,
if one of you is dead, all of you has to be dead in all of the dreams to be able to come back from limbo.
Right.
Otherwise, if all of you is alive, then you can come back from limbo.
Limbo is not just bottom level; it supersedes everything else.
Exactly. It's kind of the all encompassing of it.
Yeah. So if you are stuck and you end up in limbo, you can die and get out.
Yes. But it's hard to die because you really don't want to. Like you're in your dream state. Like it's perfect. You can go and make whatever you want and live the perfect life.
And also, it's harder to remember that it's a dream.
Exactly.
And I don't know if that's supposed to be like just you forget because you're there for so long.
It feels like the further into your subconscious you go, the harder it is to tell. Like you're in your mind more.
That's fair. Yeah.
And so it's more difficult to understand exactly what is reality because you're already...
And that's that's all speculation, right?
Yep.
Because
at
this point, like it is the least defined part of this movie.
Yep.
And fair enough.
I love like this. This is a really, really cool tech magic. And it's a cool.
I like it as like a near sci-fi things. There aren't a whole lot that like really grab me.
Absolutely.
Like this one does.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shared dreaming, man. That sounds fantastic.
Because near tech is, I don't know. I feel like it's too similar to what are already being developed now, and by the time any piece of art comes out with like near sci-fi tech, it's like
it's just
somebody's already developing that.
Yeah, like, just wait for a sec. Yeah,
but this one is like it's so unique, and there's no way that it could really work. But it's also at least not as far as we understand the brain.
Exactly.
But so cool.
So cool.
There was one other theme I wanted to talk about, and I can't remember what it was. But oh well. Yeah, I think we've already nailed down technical things as well.
Yeah, that stand out. Yeah, all the practical effects, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Wonderful. When they could use practical effects, they did. I loved that that whenever there was like really rough CG in Limbo because of exactly how big they made it, there's a good reason for it. Like it's a dream. Like, not only is it a dream, it's your lowest dream, and they had how long to go and make it. Like they made it so cool. That's what they were thinking.
Yeah.
I also thought it was funny that they're all in rows because eventually I would absolutely get fed up with making things not in rows, and I would make everything in rows. So after 70 or 80 years of being down there.
Yeah.
If I could.
I did like one thing that I don't know if how intentional it was, but them putting together the blocks on the sand.
Yeah.
And then him pushing over one, and then later we see that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was really, really cool too.
Yeah.
I think so. One thing to touch on: do we feel like Cobb, quote unquote, deserved to come back?
I'm torn. I think I've spent a very long time thinking that he intentionally was messing with his wife's head.
Yeah, as in like an experiment.
As like, yeah. And I'm like, that's super not cool.
That's messed up.
And you don't deserve to come back. Not that I should be the judge of that. But yeah, I think this time, I don't know. Sure. You know, like he's put in his time, and not only that, he didn't kill his wife.
Exactly.
At least not intentionally.
Not very much not intentionally. That's like,
and
is that manslaughter?
I mean, yeah, you could argue it is, but he's messing with, like, he's been accused of murder.
Mm-hmm.
He's been exiled from the country.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily know all of the things that he's done.
Other things, like what else has he stolen? Like what other things has he caused to happen?
And like I think, like the information for COBOL is arguably an issue.
Yeah, arguably. They kind of try and put you onto a moral high ground, like, hey, this company got too big. You're just collapsing.
He took the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as far as the company that Fisher is in charge of, they improve his life.
Yeah, they do improve his life, and hopefully they don't destabilize too many energy markets.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, I'm like, how many people are going to be out of a job now because of what they did?
Exactly.
And it's just...
So
I feel like we're probably reading into this further than we necessarily need to, but
it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like one way of doing this from a business perspective is just saying, hey, this large corporation is no longer one large corporation.
Yeah.
I have now sold it off
they just
to
antitrust
the smaller.
it.
Exactly. And it just all
self-antitrust.
Self-antitrust. It's like sometimes when cells get damaged, they go and package themselves up and kill themselves. And it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So it's and I wonder if it's like that or if it's something else. Again, how big do you have to be to just casually buy an airline? The fact that an energy corporation, like that's an obscene amount of money, an obscene amount of power, and they're the second biggest one.
I was surprised at how much that line bothered you.
I did. He just casually says, "I bought the whole airline. I thought it would be cleaner." Airlines are not inexpensive. They're one of the most expensive upfront cost things. You can't just buy one. You can just buy one. But these really industries are billions. Okay, for sure. That had a 747 of that caliber.
It's like Virgin Airlines.
I didn't remark on the first class not being as fancy as I was expecting it to be. So maybe that was the vibe, man. Like, but again, like there's a reason there aren't very many airlines. And it's because no one can just go start up an airline because you have to buy planes and planes are expensive. Anyway, so that just drove me. Like if Excel Energy here in Colorado tried to buy an airline, they couldn't because they don't have the money.
Right.
Even though they're a monopoly.
But they're not a global energy company.
Exactly. If they're global, that makes sense. But also, global energy, who defined that? We don't care about the UN. The UN is just sitting over here, like, trying to make sure people don't nuke each other. They don't have any sort of energy policy.
Yeah.
There's no way that someone is going to go and put solar planets in multiple different countries to then collect a lot of energy to sell to other countries. Like, that's not the infrastructure we have for energy right now.
Not the one we have right now, but this is near future, I will remind you.
Exactly. Maybe some really cool guy was like,
we know of at least 3 global energy companies.
Do we?
There's the one that Saito is hiring them for.
Yeah.
There's Cobalt Energy that's after them, and then there's the Fisher.
Was it Cobalt Energy? I thought it was okay.
It might have been Cobalt Engineering.
Yeah, I think it was something like that instead. I don't know that it was an energy company. I think it was an engineering.
It would depend on whether it was engineering or energy, but either way,
he also says this on audition, so he probably owes Cobalt anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, the business side of me is getting a little bit out of hand. So thank you for that tirade. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We did just figure out how to ignite fusion for enough time to get more energy out of it than we put in. So maybe that was how we did it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Next week's film.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Next week we start our Star Wars leading up to May the 4th with all 6 movies.
All 6 movies that matter.
Yes.
So excited.
Yep.
We do here like the prequels. No one of us does not like Jar Jar Binks, and that's okay. I still like them. But
we're not having that conversation
not yet. that's the next movie. But yeah, so we are going to be the rest of February, March, April having Star Wars movies for you guys.
Yeah.
And having the last one out near May the 4th, maybe on May the 4th. We'll see.
Yeah. I did the math on it, and it looked like we were supposed to be like 2 days before May the 4th or something like that.
Go
so
and put it on May the 4th at that point.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith on May the 4th be with you. So good. And put it on the 5th.
Revenge of the 5th?
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith on the 5th.
No, it's Revenge of the 5th.
I know, but the movie is Revenge of the Sith.
No, because we're watching the prequels first, and then we're watching the original trilogy.
What is the third one?
The third one is Revenge of the Sith. But we're watching the prequels first.
You're right. Sorry, that's the
Return of the Jedi is 6th.
Yep, you're right.
Yep.
Whoopsies.
So,
apologies.
Yeah, this is talking about a completely different series.
Yes,
Thanks for listening.
And so please, if you're excited for that, go like, subscribe, make sure that you are getting all of these podcasts. I'm looking forward to doing Star Wars. It's another one of my favorite series.
Yeah. How do we end this?